Listen, plot armor exists. I think we can all acknowledge that. There has been a million different circumstances in a million different anime where somebody who shouldn't have won a fight ended up winning a fight. And this might be because they get resuscitated by some weird ability of one of their allies, pull out a technique we've never seen or heard of before, or just suddenly get way faster or way stronger than they've ever been. Regardless of why it happens, this happens all of the time, and Naruto is no exception to that rule. There are dozens of fights in Naruto, most of which that involve Sasuke, where the winner should have actually been the loser. But in order to progress the plot in a way that makes sense, unfortunately, that winner cannot lose. Unfortunately, as far as big animes go, Naruto is one of the worst offenders in this category, as Naruto deals with an ensemble of characters trying to stop the motion of a couple of few bad men. And time again, we see the ensemble of characters and not the main good guys come into battle against these main bad guys. But the only people that are technically allowed to win a fight within the confines of Naruto are Sasuke, Naruto, Sakura, and sometimes Kakashi. And if we're being real, Sakura didn't start taking dubs until basically the last 30 episodes of Naruto. If your name isn't Naruto or Sasuke, there's about a 90% chance you're taking the L. And while I acknowledge almost every single fight within Naruto has plot armor for one of the characters in some way or another, that's just anime. So I don't want to talk about every single fight in Naruto, I just want to talk about the worst offenders. The fights that ended and left a sour taste in our mouth, that left us with a head scratcher and a question, are we sure they should have won that? Because while there are some incredibly satisfying fights in Naruto where the winner rises above the rest and is victorious and you feel great for them because it's deserved, there's almost definitely times where we've seen the winner holding their fist up at the end of the battle and thought,
how did the person they beat get so much weaker?
So with no further ado, let's get into fights in Naruto where the winner should have lost. But before we get to discussing winners or losers, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you want to make me feel like a winner, guys, go ahead and follow my other YouTube channel, The Weeb Commander, where instead of talking Naruto, I talk every other anime with plot armor, like Bleach and One Piece, and basically everything. Now, could I sit here and say we're gonna do these in chronological order, or in the order of which one was the most egregious? Absolutely. But that would require a lot of prep work and me thinking. So we're just gonna do this in the order of how they pop into my head. And I guess, actually, ironically, the first one on this list is probably the first chronologically. But that's mostly to do with the fact that I saw this fight as it happened in real time on Adult Swim as an 8 or 9-year-old child. And even then, as I sat in front of that TV, slowly but surely having my brain chemistry warped to only ever want to watch anime for the rest of my life, when Naruto and Neji's Chunin exam battle came to an end, I had questions. I'm sure every single one of you remembers this fight vividly. More than anything, this fight was a battle of philosophies between Neji and Naruto. The fight focused on Neji trying to tell Naruto that he'll never be more than the circumstance of his birth, and only those who are born with genius will ever achieve genius. And during this fight, Naruto is trying to tell Neji about how with hard work, anything can be achieved. And this fight honestly is emblematic of a lot of the problems within Naruto, because obviously during this fight, Naruto is just a lovable scamp orphan who has nothing, and Neji was born a child genius. But ironically, looking back on the circumstance of this fight later, you actually realize that Neji was correct the whole time. Regardless of where you fall philosophically in this battle, the battle itself was one-sided. It opens up with Neji hitting 64 of Naruto's Tenketsu points, effectively shutting down Naruto's entire chakra network. And hitting 64 Tenketsu spots is a lot of damage. We've seen Neji and Hinata hit one Tenketsu spot on somebody, and it shuts down their ability to use things like their hands or their legs. Hitting 64 Tenketsu points with Gentle Fist on somebody is enough to almost kill them, because once your chakra circulatory system shuts down, you die. There's only 361 Tenketsu points on the entire human body, meaning that Neji shut down effectively a sixth of Naruto's Tenketsu spots. And this would have done in Naruto if not for Kurama being inside of him, as Naruto was able to somewhat reverse the damage incurred by Neji with Kurama. And then Naruto, with the power of Shadow Clones, distracts Neji and actually digs one of his Shadow Clones into the ground. And upon luring Neji into a spot, the Shadow Clone jumps out of the ground, uppercuts Neji, and knocks him out in one punch. Naruto lands one punch against Neji, and he wins. The reason this never sat correctly with me, even as a child though, is Neji has the Byakugan, and the Byakugan grants vision in a 360-degree bubble. That includes into the ground. Why does that include into the ground, you ask? Well, because the Byakugan can see through material. The Byakugan has shown to be able to see through trees, rocks, earth, which implies that there's really no reason Neji shouldn't have been able to see a chakra signature in the ground. Then, obviously, once again, there's the fact that Neji gets knocked out in one punch. Rock Lee opened to what? The 4th gate against Gaara and hits him like, what? 12 to 15 times? And Gaara is not fine, but conscious.
Oh, and yet Gaara had sand armor.
It was literally falling off of his face. Rock Lee hit Gaara so hard he dabbed. Meanwhile, Neji, the child genius who was probably strong enough at this point to beat Sasuke in a fight, gets one punched.
Oh, but Nikki has Kurama, and he's the reincarnation of Ashura, which means he's a descendant of Hakuromo.
There is, first off, absolutely no way that Kishimoto had already planned for Naruto to be the reincarnation of a god while drawing Neji versus Naruto. Kurama, maybe. We're just talking about when Naruto used to get little whiskers and his teeth would get sharp. To say this is access to Kurama's chakra is a stretch. So while yes, obviously it's cool that Naruto was able to beat Neji and prove that hard work prevails over genius, I think it genuinely would have been much more interesting for Neji and Naruto to have a very close fight that Naruto loses that makes Neji reflect on how Naruto was able to almost come to his level of power through sheer hard work. Because since we're talking about it, there's really no reason Naruto needed to win this fight. It's not like the Chunin exam's finished. Like, cool, Naruto was able to prove a point. Good job. But how does Neji A, get hit by that punch, and B, get knocked out by it? You know what, now that we've started chronologically, it's gonna hurt me if we don't continue chronologically, so we're going chronologically from here. Which means we're on to our second fight, which happened during the Sasuke retrieval arc, Kimimaru versus Rock Lee and Gaara. Listen, I understand you can't kill the character you just gave a growth arc to, and the character who just got his legs back. And listen, I understand that it's a cool moment for Gaara and Rock Lee to fight side by side, even though Gaara tried to put Rock Lee on a t-shirt. But if we're sitting here and being objective, they both should be dead. It took this fight to help us understand why Orochimaru wanted Kimimaru's body so badly. Not only does Kimimaru body the new and improved Rock Lee, he's also able to stand toe-to-toe against drunken Rock Lee. And I have a standing theory that drunken Rock Lee is so powerful that one time he was moving so quickly, Metal Lee just kind of mitotically generated off of him. Because for some reason, Rock Lee doesn't know who Metal Lee's mother is. That or the much more likely circumstance that one night Rock Lee got a little drunk and saw Ten from across the bar. She got his drunken fist, if you know what I mean. Regardless of how Metal Lee was created, Kimimaru was boxing with drunken Lee. And when things looked really bad for Rock Lee, guess who pulled up other than the man who tried to rip his legs off with sand, Gaara. And at this point, Kimimaru starts tapping into his curse mark and the fight really escalates. So much so that at one point, Gaara covers the entire battlefield in sand and does a battlefield-sized sand burial. And Kimimaru is caught in this sand burial. But since Kimimaru has Shikatsu Myaku, he's able to protect himself from the sand burial with the power of his steel-hardened bones. Because when we sit here and think about it, Shikatsu Myaku is one of the most versatile weapons in Naruto as a whole. This is why members of the Kaguya clan were terrified of the member who was born with Shikatsu Myaku. It is essentially an impenetrable defense. You can extend bones that are as hard as steel out of your body to block incoming projectiles or attacks. On top of that, you're able to shoot finger bullets out of your fingers. Then there's obviously the fact that your defense, your bones, are very sharp, so you can hurt people as they try to attack you like a porcupine. And oh yeah, Kimimaru can pull his spine out of his back and use it as a claymore. But after they supposedly kill Kimimaru with this 1 square mile sand burial, Kimimaru survives. And just as he's about to impale Gaara and Rock Lee simultaneously like they're Naruto's parents, he dies. Of sand in his lungs? Of Rock Lee giving him the drunken fist? No, of his chakra disease. Thus technically making Rock Lee and Gaara the winners in the battle against Kimimaru, but if he had survived for 4 seconds longer, they would be on a t-shirt together, which would have been touching, I guess. What was truly terrifying about this fight, though, is that as we understood in the power schemes of the world, Gaara was like the strongest person at this point, and Kimimaru low-key kind of clowned him. The beauty of the situation is that we had never seen Kimimaru fight prior to this, so there was a lot of room for Kishimoto to work in how strong he was gonna make Kimimaru. And while obviously there's other things that Gaara could have tapped into, like transforming into Shukaku again, Rock Lee and Gaara don't necessarily feel nerfed in this fight against Kimimaru. Kimimaru is just that much stronger. So while this is by far and away not the worst aggressor on this list, it was still kind of aggravating to just see Kimimaru get plot killed off like that. Coming in at number 3 on the list is another fight, and actually the last fight within the Sasuke retrieval arc. And that would be none other than obviously Naruto versus Sasuke Part 1. You see, this fight is incredible. It's one of my favorite moments from Naruto as a whole, but that doesn't mean there's not problems with it. In this fight, we get to see both how Naruto and Sasuke have powered up and how these powers will be reflected in future continuations of the story like Shippuden. Sasuke has his brand new curse mark that he's able to tap into and basically master in a matter of minutes, which is interesting. And then Naruto has learned how to harness his earliest version of a Kurama chakra cloak. These two, at the height of their powers, seem as though they're even matches for each other. But the thing is, they weren't. At this point, Naruto is significantly stronger than Sasuke. And it's not because of Naruto's physical ability or the fact that the Rasengan is stronger than the Chidori, and that is canon. It's because at this point, Naruto had a deal with the toads, and Sasuke had no standing relationship with any summoning animal. While Naruto's early version of the Jin Cloak and Sasuke's Curse Mark version 2 were about equal in strength, why didn't Naruto summon anybody during this fight? It's not like he's not capable of doing it. We've seen him summon Gamabunta twice prior to this. And I know what you're probably thinking. You're thinking,
Oh, Gamabunta's unreliable.
but is he? Yes, obviously, in a lot of situations, we see Naruto try to summon Gamabunta and he gets Gamakichi or somebody like that. But in moments where it genuinely mattered, in moments where Naruto's back was against the wall, Gamabunta always shows up, because these are usually the moments that Naruto is using Kurama's chakra, like he very much was in his battle against Sasuke. So while yes, I understand that obviously Naruto couldn't have won this fight because then Sasuke wouldn't have been able to leave the village, Naruto was intentionally nerfed during this battle to make sure that Sasuke is able to leave. I'm not even entirely sure that this version of Curse Mark version 2 Sasuke could beat just Gamabunta in a fight, let alone Naruto on top of Gamabunta. So while Sasuke is technically the winner of this battle, he really shouldn't have been. Now, if hypothetically Sasuke was also able to summon Manda at this point and he didn't summon Manda, then I would say everything's cool. But like I said earlier, Sasuke had no standing relationship with any summoning animals at this point. So it's always been aggravating to me that Naruto wouldn't try to use everything he could in a battle to keep his best friend in the village. Coming in at number 4, we have one of the first battles within Naruto Shippuden, Gaara versus Daedora. Now listen, this battle I understand. Doesn't mean I have to like it though. In this battle, Daedora and Sasori are returning to Sasori's home village in order to kidnap Gaara and pull Shukaku out of him for the Geto statue. And this battle evolves into Gaara and Daedora's combat. As Gaara and Daedora are both able to fly, one with sand, one with clay, this battle takes place mostly in the air. And it is a really fun fight. I love watching Gaara fight. He's just so nonchalant. And there's times where Daedora has Gaara pressed, but it's very clear that Gaara is stronger than Daedora, which is why it's aggravating to me, and it's aggravating every single time this trope happens, by the way, to me, that Daedora pulls the most stereotypical bad guy move of all time and goes to kill somebody that Gaara cares about, so Gaara then has to divert his defenses to that, and then he's left wide open, and then boom, he loses. In the circumstances of this fight, Daedora makes a C3 bomb. This is a bomb created out of a massive amount of Daedora's explosive clay. This bomb is said to be powerful enough to wipe out an entire village. Now, since obviously this requires an insane amount of clay, Daedora has to prepare that clay prior to a fight. And so prior to his fight against Gaara, Daedora figured, if I start losing, I'll just drop this bomb on the village, he'll have to direct all his sands there, and then we'll get him. And that's exactly what happens. I hate this trope. Like, yes, it makes sense. Is that what a bad guy would do? Probably. And then yes, obviously, would Gaara sacrifice his own defense to protect his village? Absolutely. It's a good sign of his growth as a character. And does this serve as a great way to make you hate the bad guy for using such an underhanded tactic? Absolutely. And is Naruto the only anime to ever do this? Absolutely not. Black Clover did the exact same thing when the Wizard King fought Leaked. But I feel as though using this tactic from a writer's perspective actually undermines what could be a quality fight. Like, if we're worried about the fact that Gaara is stronger than Daedora, which he absolutely is, have another member of the Akatsuki swing into the battle. Or have Daedora have a battle IQ moment where he outthinks Gaara. That way it's still clear that Gaara is still probably stronger than Daedora, but in the circumstance, he was outthought. I don't know. This one is far from the worst aggressor on this entire list. Obviously, Daedora is the winner when he shouldn't have been. I'm just more using this as an opportunity to talk about how I hate this trope. It just feels like lazy writing, you know?
Oh no, he's more powerful than the bad guy. I guess we put somebody else in danger.
And it's always the cool side characters too. Up next at number 5 is Granny Chiyo and Sakura versus Sasori, is what a lot of you probably want me to say. I'm bringing up this fight specifically because I don't believe it deserves to be on this list. When I was scouring internet forums looking for battles that people felt were unjustly won, this was one brought up over and over and over again. People saying that there's no way that Sakura and Granny Chiyo should have been able to defeat Sasori. And I'm sorry, but that's wrong. Yes, obviously, is Sasori an incredibly formidable opponent? Absolutely. I have no hesitation in saying that Sasori is probably the strongest puppet user ever. But you know who number 2 is? Granny Chiyo. Granny Chiyo has been holding it down for the Sand Village for decades. She went toe-to-toe with Hanzo the Salamander more than once and survived every time. She battled Sakamo Hatake, the guy said to be stronger than the 3 legendary Sannin combined. She was so talented in the creation of poisons that Tsunade's entire job in the Second Great Shinobi World War was countering Granny Chiyo's poisons. This woman is an OG. She's the one who trained Sasori. And while Sasori obviously has his 100 puppets technique and has incredibly powerful puppets like the 3rd Kazekage puppet, the 10 puppets that Granny Chiyo uses were created by the man who created puppets. Like, the first dude to make puppets in the Naruto universe, his masterpiece were the 10 puppets Granny Chiyo uses. These 10 puppets were said to be strong enough to take down an entire castle by themselves. Not to mention when we consider the fact that as a puppeteer, it's not like your body has to be crazy agile. The entire reason that puppets were created by the Hidden Sand Village is so that shinobi could hide back from the battlefield and use these puppets as replacement for actual shinobi. Puppeteers aren't supposed to really be powerful shinobi outside of puppeteering, and it's not like you lose the ability to do this. On top of that, there's obviously the fact that Sakura was there. And not only is Sakura one of the strongest people in the entirety of Naruto in terms of strength, she was also being controlled by arguably the 2nd greatest puppeteer ever. Also, Sasori wanted to commit unlive anyways. He was a sad boy. The dub was not unjustified. Check your facts, internet. That being said, the next entry on this list, I'm kind of on the fence about. Naruto versus Kakuzu. I could genuinely see people going either way on this one. There's people out there who believe Kakuzu could beat Nagato in a fight if he wanted to. I'm not one of those people, but it's probably those people who believe that Naruto's killing of Kakuzu was kind of, well, an ass pull. You see, Kakuzu is incredibly powerful. I mean, he quite literally fought Hashirama and didn't die. And considering the fact that Hashirama once punched a Susanoo off of Kurama while Madara was riding it, that's an accomplishment. On top of that, Kakuzu's been around for about 100 years, and Earth Grudge Fear is one of the strongest ninjutsu ever. On top of that, he has all 5 elemental releases. He has 4 hearts. He can split into 4 different sections of himself, and each different section can use different elemental releases. He's very powerful. So the real qualm that people have is, how did Kakuzu manage to get hit by Naruto's first iteration of the Rasen Shuriken that he couldn't even throw? How does somebody with almost 100 years of experience as a shinobi lose in a game of tag to a 16-year-old? Well, the prevailing explanation is exhaustion. See, for 6 days prior to the battle against Team 10, Hidan and Kakuzu had been pulling the 3 tails and the 2 tails into the Geto statue, as sealing the tailed beast into the Geto statue requires a massive amount of chakra from multiple people. So not only had Hidan and Kakuzu been up for a week, they basically had no time to recuperate before Team 10 found them. So while it's not a great explanation, it is one. But what do you guys think? Tell me in the comments. Do you think Kakuzu should have won that fight? Because I genuinely don't know. You know what I do know about, though? The next entry on this list, Sasuke versus Daedora. By the way, almost every single fight that Sasuke wins is gonna be on this list. It's an excuse to hate on him. I'm sorry. But come on, let's sit here and be real with ourselves. Did Sasuke deserve to win that fight? I'm not gonna say that some of the things that Sasuke pulls off during this fight aren't impressive. They are. Sasuke reacts to C4, breaking nanomolecules into his system, and runs lightning through his entire body to nullify the explosive clay going through his bloodstream. Hell, just figuring out that the explosive clay can be deactivated using lightning release is also incredibly impressive and speaks to his battle IQ. And for all intents and purposes, this battle is relatively even, mostly because Daedora has a huge amount of hate for Itachi, because Itachi was the person who dragged him into the Akatsuki. And so Daedora has spent years training one of his eyes to be genjutsu resistant, meaning that Daedora in his fight against Sasuke was able to completely nullify the genjutsu prowess of the Sharingan. And if we're being honest here, Daedora actually had a leg up in the battle because he had previously fought against Itachi, and Itachi and Sasuke fight very similarly. But when Daedora realized he probably couldn't defeat Sasuke in a one-on-one battle, he resorted to using his C0, a technique where he unlatched a mouth on his chest and fed it explosive clay, making himself the medium of his own explosion. This is said to be his final art, as the explosion would result in his death. But in the time it takes for this explosion to activate, Sasuke somehow reverse summons Manda and wraps himself around in Manda and protects himself from the explosion. But the thing is, everything within the vicinity of the explosion, of which Manda was very much in the vicinity of, was completely eviscerated, destroyed down to a cellular level, and yet somehow Manda's body is barely affected by the explosion. An explosion Manda was at the center of. Not to mention that Manda absolutely despises Sasuke, so to assume that he would respond to a reverse summoning that quickly and protect Sasuke has always felt like a stretch to me. There's also the fact that reverse summoning requires an insane amount of chakra, and Sasuke had very little left. So obviously, if Sasuke was killed by this explosion, there would be no real winner to the battle. Sasuke walking away from this battle didn't feel right, especially relatively uninjured. It's not like Manda or Gamabuta's body is inherently tougher than a human body, they're just larger, and thus the scale of attack that usually are inflicted upon them doesn't do that much damage. But if you're at the center of an explosion, it doesn't matter how big your body is, he should have been eviscerated. And while Manda is obviously killed by the explosion, his body still being there is weird. But don't worry, we're not done talking about Sasuke, because just 14 episodes after this battle, Sasuke found himself in another fight, this time against good old bro. And while in this battle, Sasuke and Itachi do seem relatively evenly matched, with Sasuke managing to almost kill Itachi with Kirin, and if Itachi hadn't reacted to the lightning strike, mind you, by forming his Susanoo, he would have died. But I think we all know why Sasuke shouldn't have been the winner of this battle. Itachi wasn't fighting Sasuke to kill Sasuke. He was fighting Sasuke to bring him to the point of exhaustion so Orochimaru would take over his body. And then Orochimaru, upon being released from Sasuke's curse mark, would be stabbed with the sword of Totsuka by Itachi Susanoo and sealed away forever. And then after sealing away Orochimaru forever, Itachi could have just sliced Sasuke in half, but he didn't want to do that because he had already accomplished everything he was trying to do. Itachi's entire point of the battle was to help Sasuke. Even by dying at the end, he was trying to help Sasuke. Itachi was only keeping himself alive using medicine acquired from the Howling Wolf village so that one day he could battle Sasuke, see how strong he was, and then have Sasuke take his eyes. So yeah, I don't even have to explain to you why Sasuke didn't deserve to be the winner of that battle, but I did anyways, so I guess redundancy is key.
So Nick, surely there wouldn't be 3 back-to-back fights from Sasuke that he shouldn't have won that he somehow did, right?
Right? Wrong. Sasuke went on a plot armor trilogy, and a lot like the Lord of the Rings, he finished on a high note. Because coming in at number 8, we have Sasuke versus Killer Bee. Whenever I'm feeling sad or lonely, I go back and I watch this fight. It makes my heart sing. This is really one of Team Taka's first exploits. They were gonna catch the 8 Tails Jinchuriki and help out the Akatsuki, and one of the few Jinchuriki left standing was Killer Bee. And Sasuke tried to run Killer Bee's fade in a 1-on-4 fight. Sasuke, obviously the strongest member of Taka, did the majority of the fighting, but this is a freshly awakened Mangekyo Sharingan user Sasuke. And Killer Bee moved so fast that his MS couldn't keep up with his 8 vibrato swords, resulting in the start of the battle opening with Sasuke getting treated like a cat's scratching post, and then eventually resulting in a couple of swords in his chest. Of course, Sasuke after this gets revived by Karin, and he gets up, and this is when he starts to get more serious in the battle, using more of his MS techniques with the help of Suigetsu and Juga. At this point, it is a full 1-on-3 battle. So this is when Killer Bee actually starts to get somewhat serious, as prior to this, he was just fighting in his base form with his 8-sword style. And Killer Bee then dons a version 1 Jinchuriki cloak. Not version 2, not a full transformation, version 1. And after proceeding to beat the brakes off of Jugo and Suigetsu, Killer Bee delivers the clothesline of a lifetime into Sasuke's face, completely collapsing his chest and making it impossible for him to breathe, effectively killing him for the 2nd time in their battle. But fortunately, we have Jugo, the Energizer Bunny, who's able to funnel a bunch of his chakra into Sasuke and save his life. Then Killer Bee goes into his full transformation and beats Suigetsu in water, where Suigetsu should hypothetically be invincible because he can make an entire body of water his body. And then Sasuke uses his freshly awakened MS abilities to use Amaterasu on Killer Bee's fully transformed state. And then technically Killer Bee has to retreat, leaving a tentacle clone behind, technically in the circumstance making Sasuke the winner, even though Killer Bee, before he even fully started trying in his fully transformed state, killed him twice. So yeah, quite the trilogy. Let's take a step away from Sasuke, let's let him breathe, and move on to our next entry on the list, Naruto versus Pain. Listen, is this arguably one of the coolest fights in the entirety of Naruto's history? Absolutely. Whether you love or hate the way it's animated, it's fun, it's goofy, and it has incredible plot repercussions. But should Naruto have won that battle? Absolutely goddamn not. Naruto had mastered Sage mode for what, a week when he battled Nagato? Jiraiya, who was almost a perfect Sage for 30 plus years, was barely able to defeat 4 of the 6 paths of pain. And while obviously Jiraiya battling against Nagato in his home territory, mind you, did allow for Jiraiya to send some information about Nagato back to Naruto that Naruto could use to prepare for his fight, and Naruto obviously had prep time, being able to bring all of the toads with him to help with the summoning animals and everything else. Nagato, who mind you had already almighty pushed the entirety of Konoha into oblivion, basically killed Tsunade, Kakashi, and every other high-ranking Jonin in Konoha, still went toe-to-toe with Naruto and basically won, marking Naruto with a Chibuka Tensei seal and making him the center of gravity for a Chibuka Tensei that was slowly but surely covering him with the debris of Konoha. This, of course, being after Naruto was able to break out of Nagato's chakra rods after seeing Hinata die. But because Naruto was freaking out over the loss of Hinata and Kakashi and basically everybody else, he almost fully transformed into Kurama, manifesting 8 tails. And with the power of this 8-tail transformation, Naruto is able to break out of Chibuka Tensei. And while obviously breaking out of one of the most powerful ninjutsus on Earth is great, good job Kurama, why couldn't you do it when Sasuke put you in it? We won't talk about that. I said we were going to give Sasuke a minute to breathe. With Kurama now almost completely manifested, Naruto was about to be completely consumed by Kurama's chakra, meaning that even though Kurama may have been able to beat Nagato in his weakened state in a fight, Naruto would have been dead, consumed by Kurama, and therefore technically would have lost. But thankfully, Minato, after being impaled in using Reaper Death Seal, decided to seal the last bit of Kushina's chakra inside of Naruto's 8 trigram seal, just in case the seal were ever to loosen to such a degree that Kurama would get out. And this last bit of Kushina's chakra would be able to remake the 8 trigram seal and reseal Kurama. Was this absolutely a genius idea by Minato? Absolutely. Especially when we consider the fact that the 8 trigram seal was created specifically to allow Naruto to access Kurama's chakra, because Minato sealed Kurama in Naruto thinking he was going to be the child of prophecy, and therefore working with Kurama collaboratively would lead to more power in him fulfilling the dream of being the child of prophecy. But Minato also understood that by accessing Kurama's chakra, this seal would weaken. But to assume that after taking a talon through the stomach and using a jutsu that kills you, that Minato not only had the state of mind, but also the chakra and the will to somehow take the rest of Kushina's chakra and slam it into Naruto is a smidgen plot armory. But fortunately, because Minato had the foresight of taking Kushina's chakra, but somehow not the foresight to, oh, I don't know, dodge a talon, Naruto was able to bounce back from this partial transformation and finish off Nagato. Well, finish off the paths of pain, that is. And then Naruto was able to talk no Jutsu Nagato into using Rinne Rebirth and bring back the entirety of Konoha, who somehow knew, even though they were all dead when it happened, that Naruto had saved the village. Let that little tidbit of information sit with you. Coming up at number 10, and our final spot is kind of a weird one. It's basically any fight that has to deal with Obito as a 10-tails Jinchuriki. Because what the hell, man? What happened? Obito, prior to becoming the 10-tails Jinchuriki, was arguably stronger than he was as the 10-tails Jinchuriki. Like, for all intents and purposes, becoming the 10-tails Jinchuriki was kind of a nerf for Obito. Like, yes, obviously he had things like the True Secret Orb, which allowed him to create the Sword of Ninabuko and block all incoming attacks. That was really cool. But also, upon becoming the 10-tails Jinchuriki, he could not use the Rinnegan because it would use too much chakra and he would lose control of the 10-tails. Oh yeah, and also he can't use Kamui anymore because he isn't able to teleport the massive amount of chakra that is the 10-tails to the Kamui dimension. So cool, fresh new cool body, get True Secret Orbs, awesome. But we're gonna need to take your dojutsu away from you. Like at that point, why even have them? What's even more disrespectful is that the second person who becomes a 10-tails Jinchuriki, Madara, is able to both use a Rinnegan and the Kamui, which he owns for like 15 seconds before using it as the 10-tails Jinchuriki. So Obito, who's had the Kamui his entire adult life, is not able to use the Kamui, but Madara, who's had it for 10 seconds, is. On top of that, upon becoming the 10-tails Jinchuriki, Obito either can't or simply didn't use Wood Release again. So yes, he has True Secret Orbs, but now he doesn't have a Rinnegan, a Sharingan, or Wood Release. So basically, every single fight he's in, he probably should have won. But because of a series of really weird nerfs, He loses basically every battle he's involved in. He's nerfed to such a degree that Madara, while not the 10 Tails Jinchuriki, says that if he had access to Senjutsu Chakra, he would be able to defeat 10 Tails Obito. Now you give 10 Tails Obito intangibility with the Kamui and Rinnegan abilities, there's no reason to consider him any weaker than one Rinnegan Madara as the 10 Tails Jinchuriki, but you get that. But he gets slapped around by Naruto and Sasuke using Majestic Attire Susanoo, which is one of the strongest ninjutsu on Earth. But still, listen, I despise Obito as a character. He is my third least favorite character in the entire show. But nerfing him was pointless. What do you mean he doesn't have enough chakra to use the Rinnegan? He has the 10 Tails in him. Dumb. The whole thing dumb. And also honorable mention to Madara versus Might Guy. Might Guy hit Madara with a kick that quite literally bent space-time. It literally destroyed half of Madara's body, and it should have killed him. There's no reason to make it not kill him. Just have Kaguya take over his body. Might Guy is the perfect envelopment of everything that Naruto was supposed to be about. Hard work, overcoming genius. Have the man who is quite literally the epitome of hard work outclass the reincarnations of gods through hard work and dedication to the cause. But nope, Might Guy just gets to shrivel away. By the way, just have him die. Have him die on the battlefield with a smile on his face, knowing he did everything he could. And while it is heavily implied that the damage Madara received from Might Guy is what allowed Naruto and Sasuke to put pressure on him, Might Guy should have won that fight. Do you know how hard it is to bend space-time? Only planetary objects bend space-time. Well, technically everything bends space-time, but to a degree that it's noticeable, only planetary objects. Reverse honorary mention, how did Sasuke lose the battle in the Valley of the End? My man had dual EMS, had Sage of Six Pass Chakra from Hagoromo, a 6-Tome Rinnegan, and the power of 9-tailed beasts boosting him. Naruto beat him with half of Kurama and the power of friendship.
Oh, Nikki was a tie.
No, it wasn't. Naruto wasn't trying to kill Sasuke. Sasuke was trying to kill Naruto. Get shit on, nerd. All right, well, this video was supposed to be about like a bunch of different fights and not just entirely about Sasuke, but you know, sometimes you just get in the mood. But what do you guys think? What fight in Naruto do you believe was won by the person who should have lost? Tell me in the comments below. And while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Listen, this is repayment for all the nice things I said about Sasuke in the Shadow Hokage video.